Let's just say it. Parent buy-in isn't about getting families to follow through. It's about helping them feel like the strategy fits their real life, even in chaos, even when they're tired, even when nothing is going as planned. In this video, I'm going to show you what real buy-in actually looks like and how to build it step by step with families who feel overwhelmed, checked out, or just plain done. Let's start by why buy-in matters and why it falls apart faster than we expect. Parent training is what turns in-session wins into real-life progress. We can teach the perfect strategy, write the cleanest goal, run the most efficient session. But if the parent doesn't feel connected to the process, that strategy stops the moment you leave the room. Here's the cycle I see all the time. We teach, the parent nods, we leave thinking, well, that went well. And next week, nothing has changed. So we repeat it and we repeat it. And maybe quietly we start to wonder if the parent even cares. But here's the truth. It's usually not a motivation problem. It's a connection problem, a relevance problem, a this doesn't fit my life kind of problem. And the more we keep pushing the plan without addressing that disconnect, the more resistance we create. If we want real engagement, not just polite compliance, we have to step back and ask what's actually getting in the way. Because once you name it, you can work with it. And in just a few minutes, I'm going to show you the one question I ask that almost always turns disengagement into a real conversation. So what does disengagement actually look like? Because it's not always obvious. Sure, sometimes it's canceled sessions or no-shows, but more often it's something that's more subtle. It's the parent who nods through the meeting, but doesn't actually follow through with anything that you talked about. The one who says, yep, sounds good, but nothing actually changes at home. Or the parent who shows up, but you can tell they're just trying to survive the day. They're distant, guarded, or even distracted. They say that they're fine, but their body language tells a different story. And here's the tricky part. It's not usually resistance. It's overwhelm or shame or a history of not being heard. So before you assume that they're just non-compliant, you ask yourself, what's their capacity right now? What's not landing? And what do they need from me to feel safe and supported? So let's break it down. Here are 3 of the most common reasons that parents actually disengage and what you can do instead. Let's start with the one we overlook the most, and that's overwhelm and capacity. Some families are at their breaking point. They're juggling school schedules, behavior challenges, dishes in the sink, and 10 other stressors you'll never see on a graph. So even when your strategy is great, it might still feel like pressure to the parents. So what works? Start by scaling back. Not forever, just enough to meet them where they are. Instead of, did you practice this 5 times this week? Try something more like, what part of your day felt the hardest? And is there one small win we can go for in that moment? That shift from expectation to collaboration can reopen the door. And the second challenge is the lack of relevance. Here's one of them that most BCBAs miss. The strategy makes sense to you because as the behavior analyst, but the parent doesn't see how it fits their reality. You're talking about prompting during block play. They're thinking about bedtime battles and grocery store meltdowns. So what do? Connect the strategy to something that they care about. You can say something like, this could actually help during bedtime too. Do you want to try it there? When strategies feel practical, not theoretical, parents are more likely to actually try them. Not because they trust ABA, because they trust you to make it make sense. And the third challenge is that past experiences or broken trust. This one's the hardest to spot, but the most powerful to address. Some parents have worked with professionals who made them feel judged, ignored, or even worse, like they were the problem. So even if you're warm and collaborative, they may still be waiting for the other shoe to drop. So what helps with this? You need to lead with trust. Before giving advice, ask, would it be helpful if I shared an idea? Or do you want to talk through what you've already tried first? Let them choose the approach. Let them feel like this is a partnership, not a protocol. Because the more you invite ownership, the more they'll lean back in. Now, here's something I wish every BCBA knew. Buy-in doesn't always look like a parent saying, I love this strategy. I use it every day. It might look like a parent trying it once, asking a thoughtful question, or even saying, I'm not sure if this is working. That's not failure. That's trust. It means they feel safe enough to be honest with you. So let's stop waiting for perfection and start reinforcing the approximations, because that's how we build momentum, just like we do with our clients. All right, you've seen what disengagement looks like. You've learned why it happens. Now let's talk about how to invite parents back in. And you don't need longer sessions or more assignments to do it. Here are a few tools you can use right now. Start each session with a reflection question. What felt easier this week? Or was there a moment you used the strategy, even if it was just once? That simple check-in shifts the tone from correction to collaboration. Give choices about participation. I often say, if this feels like homework, then we're doing it wrong. So ask, do you want this on paper or in an app? Do you want to talk it out or jot it down on a quick note for the next time? That choice creates ownership and buy-in follows. So let parents help shape the goal. Try something like, what part of your week do you wish felt easier? Let's build something around that. And here's my favorite, ask before you tell. Instead of jumping in with a suggestion, say, what worked well about that? What would you change if you had to do it over? That one shift almost always leads to better outcomes because it builds insight and trust at the same time. And if you want a little structure for this, try offering a 2-minute coaching pause midsection. You can say something like, let's take a 2 minutes to pick one small win for the week. It sounds simple, but that intentional moment creates clarity and momentum. So here's the real takeaway. Parent buy-in isn't something that you demand. It's something that you build. It doesn't happen because you gave the perfect explanation. It happens because the parent feels seen, because the strategy fits their life, because you made space for their reality. Yes, you have the tools, but they have the context, the lived experience, the real life challenges. When those two things meet together, tools and trust, that's when parent training starts to actually stick. So next time a parent doesn't follow through, don't ask, why won't they do it? Ask instead, what do they need from me to feel ready to try it? That question, that's where buy-in begins. If this video resonated with you, if you've ever felt unsure how to reach a parent who just isn't engaging, you're not alone. And you don't have to figure this out by yourself, because even when you get the parent on board, staying consistent is a whole different challenge. That's why in the next video, I'm walking you through the real world barriers that get in the way of consistent parent coaching and the simple, sustainable fixes that actually work. It's called a BCBA's Guide to Consistent Parent Coaching, Real Barriers, Simple Fixes. And if you've ever felt like you're starting over every session, you'll want to see it. Click over to that video now or grab the free Achieve Session Planner using the link below if you're ready to bring more structure and flexibility to your parent sessions starting today. You're not just teaching strategies, you're building trust, shaping habits, changing lives. And it all starts with how you show up session after session. I'll see you in the next one.